feeling like you're the worst person in the world, your whole space collapsing, and you feel like something really bad is about to happen, right? I heard that during the day of the class, and I was like, oh, okay, didn't think much of it. And then I was riding my bike home after class, and I was happy. Everything was great. And then I felt my space totally like collapsing. I was the wrongest person in the world. Like something horrible was going to happen. I was like, fuck, she actually mentioned this today. So, and it was a very familiar sensation to me because I had had that all my life to some degree or the other. And then I went, well, why don't I try and use the tools that she's talking about? So I cleared entities, and within like half a minute or a minute of clearing entities, this whole sensation that was so familiar to me completely changed and went away. I've never had that in my whole life, that I chose something and that sensation completely dissipated. So I was like, holy shit. It was very obvious to me, right? I couldn't deny it. I couldn't be like, oh, am I just inventing it? Or like, what's going on? You know, like how you can with certain things that is kind of like vague. It was so clear. And then that occurred several more times. And to me, it was clear then that is one of my entity awareness signs. When that sensation or sense occurs, I know that has to do with entities because it was so crystal clear, the change from using the tools and clearing entities. And then over the years, I would work on different stuff, either in regards to demons or communicating with entities. I'd use different tools and notice the energetic change and shift that would occur there. And every time I acknowledged that, I would strengthen my muscle of knowing and of dealing with entities. Okay. So that's how I started building and changing my entity reality. Some of the things were easier. Some of the things took a little bit more balls, like balls of knowing, essentially like acknowledging what was true for me, and rather than doubting and sort of like sitting on the fence, and I had to claim some things. So, and then over many years and through facilitating and so forth, I've created a lot more of my entity reality and a lot more clarity in around all of that, and how to deal with entities, how to deal with entities with other people, how to receive from entities, and how to cooperate with entities and create with entities. So there's this huge range, right, of how we deal with entities. And it goes way more into creation once you start claiming more of your entity reality and, you know, what you can be and create and have with entities. Now I know that entities are a much bigger part of my life than way more than I realized at the very beginning. And some people, for example, like Shannon, must use the tools. She has become the tools a lot more, but must use the tools to have any sort of a functional life. I could have a functional life, but it would be way less ease and it would be way less great if I did not work with the entities. Like that, those psychological symptoms that I was talking about, I would have a lot of that, and I would have a lot of difficulty in my life just psychologically if I wasn't organizing and dealing with the entities, using the tools deliberately. But someone more like Shannon, she would probably get very self-destructive or even like have diagnosable mental health issues, you know, or probably like kill herself, or just have a really also have a difficult life, but on a worse scale. So there's a scale of entity aware and entity capable people that some of them might just have to use the tools a little bit, and that works quite well. Some people must use the tools or they're basically not functional. Like a lot of mental health diagnoses are due to entity awareness that isn't being dealt with. It's not because of the entities, it's because of the capacities that are not handled. Okay. Just as a side note, even though we might know that, it doesn't mean we can like fix all mental illness because we are not God. People also have to be willing to choose to claim, own, and acknowledge those capacities and really work with them to change that for themselves. And that's not up to us as people that might know something about it or facilitators or whatever. It's only something we can invite people to. For some people, and it's not, I wouldn't go and assume that everything with mental health has to do with entities. Some people also have physiological things that are going on that would have to be addressed, or different choices that then would, it's like sometimes it's a very meandering path to get to what is required for somebody. So this is not to jump to conclusions or assumptions with anybody or project and expect things of people. Always, 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 always ask a question, okay? Whether it's in your own head or to somebody. Never tell anybody you have this going on with entities, okay? And I'm also saying that because whenever anyone comes to you and says, you have this going on with entities, you can tell them to fuck off, okay? Because that's not empowering. That's disempowering. Whenever anyone comes to you with an answer about you and what's going on for you is disempowering.